A group of researchers warns that the Earth could soon reach a point of no return. It is an alarming new report, and in it they say a temperature rise of just 2 degrees Celsius from pre-industrial levels could trigger a domino effect that would make some areas of Earth uninhabitable. They say the Earth is moving toward a so-called hothouse state, and that is when global temperatures stabilize at 4 to 5 degrees Celsius above what they were before the Industrial Revolution. They say the higher temperatures would trigger a rise in sea levels of up to 60 meters, flooding coastal communities. And perhaps the scariest part of the report, global warming of 2 degrees Celsius could trigger so-called feedbacks that cause more warming, even if we completely stopped emitting greenhouse gases. For more on this, let's go directly to a co-author of the report, Johan Rockström, and he joins us now live from Stockholm. Thank you so much for sharing your findings with us and joining us here in the program. The report, it lays out this evidence that we are at risk of crossing a planetary tipping point, and that continued warming could transform planet Earth into a hothouse Earth. What would that look like, and what would that feel like?
Well, if we are already at 1 degree Celsius warming and are seeing the impacts in terms of higher frequency of extreme events like droughts, floods, fires. Now, if we pass 2 degrees Celsius, most indications are that we can still adapt. But if we reach 3-4 degrees Celsius warming, from the evidence we have today, looking back geologically, it would mean a planet that cannot basically serve the modern world as we recognize it. We will have large tracts of arid and semi-arid lands that would be uninhabitable, massive movements of people, difficulty in producing food, pandemics and different extreme events occurring as normality, no more ice sheets at all. You would have people moving up in the polar regions and probably being one of the few places still livable on Earth. Wow. Enormous movement of ecosystems. So this would be a different planet entirely.
Yeah, it would fundamentally change the planet. It would cause serious disruptions, as you laid out, to ecosystems, to society, to our food supply, to economies. So what can we do? You know, is there hope? Can we steer a planet away from such a future?
Well, the good news is that, to begin with, the scientific warnings is actually something that can be translated into actions. Now we have the scientific evidence that we have planetary boundaries. We need to stay away from a 2 degrees Celsius warming. We have the Paris Agreement, which actually all countries in the world have signed to stay well below 2 degrees Celsius. And the good news is that we have more and more evidence that transforming the world to a 100% fossil fuel-free world economy is not only necessary, it's both possible, but also has social, economic, health-wise, and security benefits. So the path to success is there, and the window is still open to succeed. This paper provides, friendly fire or scientific ammunition for ramping up the action even further, because we do not want to approach the risk of crossing tipping points, which would mean that the planet tips over from being our best friend, dampening warming, to becoming an enemy, self-reinforcing warming.
Got it. You say that the path to success is there to avoid this, just very dire future that you've laid out, this hothouse Earth. We'll leave it at that, but thank you for sharing your findings with us here in the program. That was Johan Rockström, scientist and executive director of the Stockholm Resilience Center, joining us live from Stockholm. Thank you.